PhD Viva Voice of Office Scholar Simran.
Dr. Amitabh, for giving me an opportunity to interact with you. And my colleagues, Anurag, Ranveer Kaur, Isha, Simran Preet, and all the students. I suppose, I hope I'm audible. It's fine. So, as suggested by Dr. Amitabh, in fact, I had suggested that I will be speaking on mind of a researcher. So, something related to that, do's and don'ts. Maybe I'll give you some idea for further thinking. It's nothing like a prophecy, but it is a suggestion that you can think on these issues also, which is related to your research life and, of course, life in general. So, I do not personally believe that there should be a distinction between your life and your research life, your professional or personal or something like. It's the mind, which is the crux. The kind of mind you have, accordingly you express, accordingly you act, accordingly you do, and you face the different situations around you. And often we blame things which are in front of us instead. And what the point that we miss is that the objects or the things or the situations or the people who are in front of us are not the reason, not the causes for any kind of difficulty, suffering that we encounter or we experience, but it's our own mind. And if we look at it then perhaps the entire perception or understanding of it will be different. Without any judgment, I'm not judging it will be good or bad or right or wrong or something favorable or unfavorable, but at least it will be different. And that makes the difference. The reason is whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we see, perceive or anything, mind is the forerunner of all those. It's the forerunner. Mind here means, I'm not going into the philosophy or metaphysics of it. Simply, we understand mind as a platform where all the psychic or mental functions take its place. Like we feel, we perceive, we experience, we develop prejudices, we develop attitudes, temper, or all such kind of things. Emotions, we also encounter certain kind of emotions. And the same, the prejudices, the conflicts, the emotions, and our perceptions, they affect everything. And research is not excluded because it's the mind which does all those things. Second important thing is that, one, I said, is the mind is the forerunner of everything. And second, why it is important, because there are numerous professions, numerous works, numerous things that we can do in life with unstable mind. Absolutely, with unstable minds, we can do a lot of things in the world. And we don't require stability of mind. But there are only two things, as far as I have been able to see, where you, for the first, you precisely need stability of mind. One is the academics, study, your education, and second, perhaps, as I'm a practitioner, is the meditation that you can't do with unstable mind, because you need to have concentration, contemplation. You need to have a contemplative mind that can engage with serious things, those things which may not be very exciting, or that simply provide you a lot of sensations, excitement. Sometimes, as you often perceive it, feel it, that they may be quite boring, quite unimpressive. You may feel disinterested. And that is what happens. When you deal with your work, the kind of work you do, you don't draw any kind of interest, any kind of happiness. You don't find interest. You don't find too much of attraction. But you have to do that. And the reason is because we have developed a habit of drawing sensation, feeling excitement on the things, from those kind of things, which is totally different from what we call academics, what we call study, or what we call research. So those things we enjoy, in simple words, are non-academic. Some people can also argue that entire academic project is anti-human nature. It's totally anti-human nature. You by instinct, you don't pursue them. You pursue under certain other pressures or through some kind of cultivated or created intellectual instincts. You develop a kind of intellectual instinct, they are not innate. They are developed under the pressure of environment, under certain kind of temptations, under certain kind of ambitions. When you have imposed ambitions upon yourself, then you realize the importance of those things. When you are taught like that, you are given to understand some kind of importance of academics, you are forcefully made to understand that these things are important, then you do. Otherwise, they are not naturally instinctual. So that's the difficulty. You have to detach yourself from numerous engagements, numerous enticing and attractive things to make your mind focused. And that's the challenge, because its attention, concentration, contemplation is not something they can maintain for a longer period of time. You can't maintain it for a longer period of time. And that's how you feel deviated. A number of things again happen, that after passing 3 years, spending 3 years or 4 years, you suddenly realize that you have not drafted even a single chapter. So it's not the situation or the people or the rules or the procedures. Perhaps we have not examined our own mental makeup, that what kind of mental makeup we need. As I said, that you can do a hell lot of things in life with absolutely unstable mind. There's no harm in that. You can do politics, you can do business, you can do a number of things. And the stability of mind is not required. Rather people teach that you should be workaholic, you should be hyperactive. So hyperactivity is also a thing that can provide you a number of things, that can fetch a number of things for you, but it's not research. A hyperactive person cannot do research. Diligence is another thing, but hyperactivity is a different thing. Instability is something else, and contemplation is something else. Restlessness is something else. Meditative mind is something else. And that's why I'm focusing on the mind of a researcher. What kind of mind researchers should have, researchers should develop. If he or she doesn't have, she or she can develop. And it has to be developed, it has to be cultivated. So what kind of mind? We need to first understand what are the mental, the problems. I'm talking about the psychic, the psychodynamics of it, psychic issues related to my work. And it's easy to find out, try to audit from this morning, till the end of the day, in the evening, what kind of issues you encounter, and try to examine how your mind has reacted upon those, upon the people, on the rules, on the procedures, on the schedule, the coursework, the things you are being taught, the things you are supposed to do, how you react. And often you find that you are quite entangled, you often grapple with, you often face the situation. And it is not because of the situations. The fallacy occurs where you deem the external things as causes of your difficulties, of your restlessness, of your failure of understanding things. You think that things, people, or all the things which are extraneous, which are external, which are in the world, they are responsible. But the point I'm making, or trying to make, is that it is your own mind which is the barrier, which creates the resistance. And perhaps it is something we have never examined in life. So we can extrapolate in general life also. It happens that we never examine our own mind, that how it operates, how it works. So there are two things in this connection. One is we don't see the operation of mind, and the other is that we have not examined, or you see that we don't realize that mind is the forerunner of everything. For example, I'll address these 2 points. You want to measure the width of this rod. So of course you will choose a suitable instrument for that. Say vernier calipers. What is the diameter of this, or the width of this? So what the scientist does at the outset, he will try to first see or find out the error in the instrument itself. The error with the instrument. Suppose it is 0.01 millimeter, then you'll have to accordingly deal with whatever is going to get from here. So first we try to find out the error with the instrument itself, and then we try to apply it, or to measure whatever we want to measure. So that's the right way. But we do a number of things with the mind. Rather, in everything, it's the mind that engages, but we have never tried to find out the error of the mind itself. We need to first find the faults, that the mind that perceives, the mind that reacts, the mind that feels, the mind that judges, the mind that develops prejudices, the mind that gathers the premises, the mind that draws conclusions. We have never examined that mind. And we take it for granted that my reasoning, my thinking, my way of analyzing, my perceiving is all correct. As if this is the constant and absolutely correct, given correct, axiomatically correct, but they are not. Even if they are accidentally, you are never authentic because you have never examined. They may be by chance or by accident, you may come up with, arrive at certain conclusions which are good, which are acceptable, academically, logically, philosophically. But it will not be authentic because you have never examined your tools, your instruments. And that's why when I say mind of a researcher, have you ever ventured to look into yourself? That with what kind of mind we try to pursue, we try to initiate, we try to engage ourselves with a kind of thing that you call research. And why it becomes important, you can ask a question that this applies to every walk of life, but I'm trying to segregate. This may apply to every walk of life, but I said the rest of the things you can do with unstable minds. And the academics or the research or the study is not, because you have to withdraw from numerous things. You have to withdraw. And even too much of socialization, that's why you see that too much of socialization is also a barrier. Wastage of time is a barrier. Gossip, unnecessary hangout and all that, they becomes a barrier. And suddenly, after spending 3-4 years, you realize that you have not achieved anything. You have not done anything. So numerous other philosophical perverted issues will come, whether you are doing justice with yourself or not. They're all false questions. Whether the system is good or not, they're all false questions. False points to consider or to grapple with. Whether you are properly taught how to plan research, you are planning your research with a mind that you have not examined. So what kind of planning you will arrive at? That's questionable. I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but at least it is questionable because you have never examined yourself. Means your mind. So that's the prima facie or the first challenge, not prima facie, but it should be the first challenge in front of any researcher, or the first job that you should do. If I use your words, do's and don'ts, so I would say the first thing you should do is try to look at your own mind. And when you look at your own mind, you will find all the problems and what are the possible answers or solutions and the directions you will draw from within. You don't have to seek too much of advices or too much of motivations, lessons. And often people will misguide you by using very glorious terms. That you need motivation, you should have passion and a number of things. So why we need passion, why we need motivation? They are again a very sophisticated kind of perversions. You don't require motivation or any kind of motivation, because motivation is what someone is pumping up. And the moment the impression of motivation is gone, it disappears. Naturally it evaporates. Someone is speaking and you feel charged, and after an hour you are then at the same mental level, same platform. It will not work. Any motivation will not work. But if you realize yourself, your level of mind, then you can do a great deal of things. You can deal with your own conflicts, your own barriers, your own resistances, your own prejudices. And that includes everything. For example, if I just start counting, then the examples will be what kind of prejudices you have about your research topic. You should not be complacent with approximation. You should be a keen observer. So a keen observer has to have a neat mind also, that is free from all conflicts, all prejudices, intellectual biases, academic biases, the indoctrinations, or the preconceived conclusions. You imagine a conclusion first, and accordingly you arrange your premises. That's the error. Because you want a desired conclusion, so you'll arrange your premises without bothering whether the phenomena are in resonance with that or not. It may be literature and science or any kind of research. But particularly when we deal with research, you deal with the subjects related to literature or philosophy. They are very much related to human mind, because either in the talk of the social issues, they are again reflections of mind, the emotions, the family, cultural problems, family issues, social problems, political or whatever, or some kind of ideological also. They are all just they all emanate from the mental makeups, different kind of mentalities and mental makeup. They are all directly coming from mind, not from the matter, unlike in physical sciences, as in physical sciences like in physics, chemistry, biology, etc. That's also the difference. So a chemist, if in chemistry you see, if a chemist is conducting an experiment, trying to put some salt in an acid and smoke comes up, then he will not ask a question, who raises the smoke, but what is the cause of the smoke. But in human life, we make very, very significant or very dangerous fallacy. We commit a fallacy, we raise a question, who is responsible for that? So a temper is, a scientific temper is to try to see in things in terms of cause and effect. So if there is a problem, there has to be a cause preceding that. You can postulate. So if you are trying to explore causes, then you have real scientific temper. Then you are a scientist, you are a researcher. But you are asking the question of the doer, of the agency, who does this, who did this, or who is doing that. That means you miss the point. You are not searching for you are not looking for the cause. You are looking for someone to blame, someone to hold responsible for that. So you miss the point. You escape. You slip up. It's a very, very slippery slope. That the moment you see a problem and you try to ask who is accountable for that, then it's a slippery slope. You will not find the answers. You will not find the right answers. Like in life, you see, you suddenly see that your mobile phone is missing from your table in the morning. Then immediately what idea comes to my mind? Someone must have stolen it. Who stole this? Who took away? So you're asking the question, who? Maybe that there was a thief. Imagine there has to be a thief, suppose. So the thief is not the cause, but the covetousness, the temptation is. The covetousness, the temptation, the greed, which made him steal that was the cause. So this is the approach. You identify the cause, not the agency, not the person. So these kind of fallacies that we commit in life, and similarly in research also, we often don't realize that how to identify the causes. Means we totally miss out the scientific temper. We fail to develop scientific temper. And that temper is required in whatever discipline you do your research. So research presupposes or it demands a kind of temper, research temper. And without that temper, you engage with the research. It's something like someone is trying to cook without any prior knowledge of cooking. Without any culinary skill, you start cooking. It is exactly like that. You don't have any training of cooking, no culinary skills, and you suddenly go to the kitchen and try to start finding with a knife or vegetables and something how to cook. So similarly, we try to cook research. Then that's the difficulty. We need to first examine mind and see what are these prerequisites. And the first and foremost prerequisite is that is there a researcher in you? And often there is no researcher in you. There is no researcher in us. Then what kind of thing you can expect as an outcome? And as a result, there are a series of problems. So, to quote a few, you fail to understand the mind of your co-worker. If you don't understand your own mind, then you fail to understand the mind of your co-workers too. Your supervisor. That's a big issue. In Indian academia, at least, as far as I know, it's a big issue. And the blame games are there, very much there. The student researcher will think that all fault lies with the supervisor. And supervisors, the celebrated blame is that these students are not serious. They don't do what they are supposed to do. हम अपने ज़माने में ऐसा करते थे, ये नहीं करते. So, what is the solution of this? You can't find a solution. Any enterprise endeavor of passing the buck or blame game, you don't arrive at any significant or meaningful conclusion. You end up with a mess or a suffering and waste of time also. So wastage of time is nothing but result of your unawareness. When you are not aware of what you are doing, then these are the byproducts. You'll be wasting time. You'll realize at the end, you'll develop a number of self-concepts about you without realizing that what you are, what you are doing. These are the byproduct phenomena. This will take place. This will happen. And no one is born with given skills or endowed skills. You develop skills. And often you are not open-minded. I'm using this word because people often tease that the researchers should be open-minded. But how many of you ask the question, what does it mean at all? people use the word open-mindedness, inquisitiveness, and all such things. I'm not trying to enumerate those such values as virtues which are prescribed to researchers, but they are used, I'm simply saying these terms are used unconsciously. We use, one should be open-minded, we don't know the meaning of it. We use this term unconsciously. Because if you ask the question, what does it mean to be open-minded? You don't know. What actually does it mean to be open-minded? Can one really be open-minded? Is it opening up mind like you open the door, you make a gateway, you make a pathway, or it's opening like you demolish the ceiling, or what kind of opening? We don't know. Do you have to give away all kinds of association with ideas, preconception, learning, knowledge, etc.? Then you can't do research because you need a lot of data, a lot of information. So what does it mean to be open-mindedness? So open-mindedness is, I'm not giving a solution, but rather I'm simply inviting you to think on that issue. It can be one option or one suggestion can be that the moment we receive an information, we have a data, we have an idea, we have a point of view, we have a an intellectual position, we associate it, we emotionally get attached with this. Emotions are also associated with. Emotions means we develop a very strong kind of liking, and liking engender a false perception or false idea about that point of view, that opinion, that it is true. Means what we like, we think that is true. What we don't like, we think that is false. I'm using it in simple terms because these psychological prejudices, liking and disliking, that is involvement of emotions, result into intellectual or logical conclusions of truth and falsity, which are absolutely not connected. Whatever we like, we think that is true. It gives a false appearance of truth. My liking gives a false appearance of truth. My dislike or hatred gives a false appearance of falsity. What we don't like, it becomes false. And that is, our mind is blocked. It is closed. It is not open then. Can we really detach emotions or our perception or our prejudices from the information, from the data, from whatever review, literature review and all that you do? Can you simply take that these are informations? You don't. Then, of course, whatever you think you are right, anything against that, anything which is not matching with that, anything which is not identical or which doesn't commensurate, which is not consistent with that, will be all false. And what corroborates it will be true, but factually or in reality, this may not be the case. So often what happens that our psychosis determine the truth and falsity, that becomes arbiter of truth and falsity. Our like and dislike, our emotion becomes the arbiter of truth and falsity, which is absolutely unfounded. That can't be the matter of fact. That can't be the reality. So, whatever research you pursue, you never realize clearly or vividly that you are moving in the right direction or not because of those confusions of mind, those preoccupations of mind. And when you are preoccupied with certain doctrines, certain ideas, that is what you call closed mind, and it is not open-mindedness. Open means can you really detach and de-link your own perceptions with the information, any kind of information. Like you are reading a book, and of course there is some perception, some arguments, some standpoints, there may be some narrative. You may not agree with that. Try to at least understand the point of view of the writer, the author. It is a point of view, that's all. Then you can perhaps critically examine that. You can be totally unbiased about that. These are not the ideas that one can't achieve. One can very easily achieve, provided you examine them. If you examine, you can achieve those things. So if you are examining that, you are examining your own mind too at the same time. So examining your own mind is, by default, the examination of the thing that you are examining with the mind. By default, it will be a natural examination of anything that you address with your own mind. But if we have not examined the mind itself, then how can you assure yourself at any point of time that your conclusions, your finding, the statements that you arrive at, the conclusions, they are correct or not? You can never assure yourself at any point of time. So maybe if that is the case, then your supervisor may have different perception, you have different perception, both think at different platforms, then there will be no resonance at all. So if there is no resonance, there will be conflicts. So no need to describe the nature of conflicts. That will be too trivial to talk about the conflicts. But there will be conflicts. Because perhaps the researchers, the teachers, the guides and all those people, the co-workers, the team workers, they think at different platforms. So it's not that uniformity of mind is required, I'm not saying that. But at least respect or understanding the different point of view, the diversity, the varieties of thinking is important. And that we can do only when we are open-minded, or in other words, you can say you are intellectually, philosophically you are liberal, psychologically you are liberal. Means at least you don't develop psychosis. There are two things. In the morning we were discussing with our colleagues, there are two terms, neurosis and psychosis. Neurosis is something like if someone sees there's a cream color paint, the walls are painted with cream color, cream paint. If someone says, no, it is green, it is painted in green, that means it's a case of neurosis. It's a pathological case, it's a neurological case. There can be treatment also. Or even if not, you know that this is a neurological case. But if someone says, yes, I see this is green color, but I don't like it, this is psychosis. You know, you clearly know, we have information, we have claims, we are confirmed about our own confusions, but we don't try to dispel those. We don't try to correct. Often the opinion, the points, the positions that you hold, they may be correct, but how many of you realize that the arguments or the information or the reasoning that you give in support of that, they may be defective. So we don't feel these two things are connected. So everything will become a mess. So the other point related to that is when you write a thesis, particularly for the students only, when you write a thesis, normally you have an opinion, I have written everything correct. Maybe you are grammatically correct. The information that you have gathered from different sources, they are correct, but your supervisor says that you have not written anything. It doesn't make any sense. Then what it means actually? Because you are looking at those things from your own mind, from the information, the correctness of information, the grammatical correctness. But there are other aspects of writing. When you write a paragraph, there will be a sound of that. There will be a narrative of that. There will be a subscript. There will be some connections with the prior paragraphs, the later paragraphs, a number of other things. But why you don't realize, because you are occupied your own idea that whatever you have written is all correct. Then you can't be critical, you can't examine. And often it happens that after spending a great deal of time, and even after drafting thesis, you are not actually confirmed that what you have written. We don't know, we don't realize that what we have written. So what's the best way? Try to psychologically feel this. It's a kind of intellectual regression. You can imagine that you are in a primary school. Means you are not attached with your information, the learning, the knowledge you have, and can you look at the things afresh. This is not something that can be taught in the classrooms. It's a quality of mind. And in every box of life you can see. Can we see things afresh without any kind of prejudice or attachment with whatever kind of information you have. Any information whatsoever that you have. If you are not, then you can very easily see or understand the other's point of view. You can take the suggestions. You can be critical, self-critical. You can value the suggestions. Try to understand the standpoints of the other people, other writers, your guide, or anyone who is suggesting that there are different committees, DRCs, and so on. People often suggest so many things. They may be sometimes not relevant, but at least you must understand the different opinions. They may not agree, you may not find those relevant, but you must understand the opinions instead of being reactionary. So how reactions develop? Reactions simply develops because we don't realize, we don't have clear idea about what we know, what we understand. So I don't have to speak a lot. I'd like to, I'd rather like you to ask some questions related to that, whatever point I have made, that the only tool that human beings have is the mind with which we work, with which we engage ourselves in numerous kind of activities, out of which one is the research, and for which, as I said, a very stable and contemplative mind is required. And we have never spent time to examine it. Then whatever error the mind has, all those error and fallacies will be reflected in all kinds of research, drafting, writings, and of course this is a life also, 2, 4 years, 5 years, life that we spend with people, with our team, with co-researchers, with guides, with other teachers. That life will also become a mess. Because all that the fallacies that you have with your mind will be reflected in you. The world is nothing but a projection of our own mentality. It's a projection of our mentality. We want to see whatever we like to see. We want to listen whatever we like to listen. We want to do whatever we like. We want others just to appreciate ourselves. These are the fundamental errors of mind. And we never examine. Why you seek appreciation? Why selected listening? Selected listening means you want to listen in appreciation, or maybe you don't want to listen in critiques, or maybe you want to speak much and listen less. That's also a disease, a kind of psychological dysfunction. So with all such kind of dysfunction, all such kind of blurrity, all such kind of confusions, preoccupations, and fallacies, psychological fallacies, they will all reflect into your research life, your research career. So it's better, this is just a suggestion, it's not a prophecy again, it is better to first look into how my mind works, how it operates. And how it operates, how to know, I'll give an example, like you all use computer. You all use computer, so means you know the application of it, because you use it, what commands are made for what. The keyboards and different kinds of command, MS Office, MS Word, and so on. But how computer operates, you don't know. You need a computer engineer to tell you. Or a computer engineer knows better because he can deal with the program, you can change it, you can recast it, a number of things. But you are simply user. You know the application. I do know certain applications with computer, but I don't know how it operates. I use telephone, a mobile phone, but I don't know how it operates. I'm a user of it. Similarly, there are people, all people are user of mind, but how many knows that how mind works? And the moment you are not realizing that, you don't know how mind operates, then of course you'll encounter fallacies. And fallacies is a very soft term. In life, it is conflict. It is violence. It is a crisis. It is frustration. It is depression. It will result into some kind of pathological disorders like insomnia and so on. So they will all result because you have not examined, naturally as a byproduct because you have not examined the mind, how it operates. So I think it is something which is important. At the outset, everyone should first try to, as a researcher, I'm talking to students, as a researcher, you also look into that, because I again reiterate that academics study, research is something which can be done with stable mind, very calm mind, very contemplative mind, rather meditative mind, because you have to engage with something which you don't like, but you have to engage for a longer period of time, like 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and you know that you don't like it. You know that you don't like it. Clearly know that you don't like it. And I'm not suggesting that you develop liking for it or passion for it. That's again false exercise. Because if you fail, it will again result into frustration. So you can only do when you realize that how mind operates. So that is what I want to see. If there are questions.
Namaskar. One question I would like to ask. Any suggestions so that we come to know or learn how the mind operates, or how can we control our mind? One is meditation.
Let me add to what she has said. You said we need stable mind for two things. One is academics and the other is meditation, right? But we do say that you should go for meditation to keep your mind stable so that you can concentrate on your academics. So how to get a stable mind?
It's a simple thing, unless we make it complex. Simple thing. There's nothing like kind of predicament in that. We need stable mind for meditation, and people say that meditation is a means to make the mind stable. Fine. This is something that, if I'm trying to lay these tiles, the tiles are these objects are something different. We need a worker, lots of workers, and someone who knows that, So mind is different and the objects are different. And to fix this problem, there is some problem with this microphone. So I need a kind of electrician or someone who knows this. So there is always a difference. But with mind, it is the mind itself that corrects itself. You don't require it. There is no distinction. There is no difference between. There is no gap between the thing that you want to correct and with which you want to correct it. Like you wash your hand in the tap. This is the hand that is washing and this is hand which is washed. Similarly, so it's the mind that corrects itself. And how to do that? Your question is very valid. The moment you are aware, you can do that. This is the inherent term. Everyone is endowed with that capacity that you can correct yourself. Otherwise, there can't be a suggestion. There can be no prescription at all. You are endowed with that capacity. Human being has this privilege that if you look at yourself, you can correct yourself. But the only point that I was making is we don't bother to look at ourselves. If you look at, you can correct it. Because the moment you look at it, you realize it's corrected. Like the moment you realize you are speaking, you are lying for years. Since childhood, suppose for 10 years, for 20 years. You use abusive terms for maybe 20 years, since childhood. But suppose at one point of time you realize that this is not good, for whatever reasons. I'm not giving any philosophy or justification. If you realize this is not good for me, for the others, other people feel hurt. If someone used the same words for me, I'll also feel bad. You drop this. It doesn't take any time or separate exercise for that. You don't require. So it's the realization. That's why we use that. We are helpless. But to use the word realization, self-realization and all that. Self-realization is not something that you realize the Brahman or liberation or something great things. Day to day, in bits and bytes, in piecemeals, in the packets and barrels, you realize number of things every day. But often we don't notice those things. If you realize a small thing, like if you're realizing while you're walking, there are a number of people try to go out of this door at one point of time. And the moment you realize, you stay aside, let other people go. This is realization. You think by your presence someone feels disturbed, you try to calm yourself down. You should not disturb them. Someone is talking, and the moment one realizes that I'm disturbing other people, you'll be silent. It's as simple as that. You are silent because you realize at that point of time, I should not disturb others. I will make way for others, then you stay aside. Similarly, the moment you realize, you do that. This is the innate capacity of human being. Machine cannot do that. Supercomputer can have a much smarter memory, even larger storage capacity, but it doesn't know what happens with the machine itself. But mind can really. Mind also operates mechanically. We also deal with memory, operate upon the memory. If we don't have memory, we can't operate at all. We'll be dumb, we'll be dead. With the memory you operate. But the realization is, we know that it is the memory that is operating. We also know that this is memory. This is the advantage of being human being. This is the only difference. Otherwise, working up a machine, the modern machines, and working up brains are not different. Almost similar. Because those machines are also the product of the same brain. They can't be different at all. But we can know what is happening with me. Machine cannot know that what happens with it. So that's how I think you can see.